hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Awesome. So, as we talked about, like Pharos is a next gen EVM compatible blockchain that is pushing the extremes of deep parallelism. So, what do we mean by deep parallelism? So, we'll see ahead in the slides so that you get a better understanding of what we meant about this and how we are able to scale the blockchain infra with the help of this. So, currently, like we are the first EVM compatible layer on blockchain to reach 2 gigagas seconds per speed. And we are specially built to cater like high performance DEX, AI, ML protocols, RWA protocols, and everyone in the ecosystem. This is a basic comparison between like the current available blockchains in the space right now. You can see like how we are scaling at a TPS of 50K per second on our mainnet as compared to others like Aptos, Solana, and Monad. So this is the main thing that I'm talking to you about. Like, what do we mean by parallelization? So basically, we are doing all the processes, all the execution at a parallel level, and how we are able to achieve the degree level 5 because we are doing parallelization at our consensus, we are doing parallelization at our execution, we are doing parallelization at our storage level, and we're also doing the parallelization at our SPN. We are going to study more about these in our technical architecture session, which I'm going to cover right after the presentation. So this is our upcoming ecosystem for all the developers who really like to build on Pharos. So this is how it will look like for everyone. We have an ecosystem grant program for all the developers who are interested to build on Pharos. It's a 20 million grant program. So all of you guys who are building in the RWA space or looking to build in RWA, DeFi, or payments, they can always build with us and we are going to provide you support in building your project. So this is all about the presentation today. I would like to hear your thoughts. Like, do you have any questions or queries, or we can move forward on the technical architecture of Pharos?
I think we could save the questions for later after all your presentations.
Sure, definitely. So quickly, I want to know like who all of you know about like a blockchain architecture, have a basic understanding of a blockchain architecture on an EVM level or any other level. You can just type it in the chat. Okay, no worries. Let's just take a deep dive into the Pharos network architecture so that all you can understand like how the basic architecture of a blockchain looks like and how we are pushing the boundaries of the architecture at Pharos. So as we discussed earlier, it's a modular layer on blockchain. The focus is on scalability, interoperability, and security because these are the core pillars to onboard institutions into Web3. And it is built to support the next generation of blockchain execution, consensus, and customization with its 50K TPS, 2 gigagas throughput, and parallelization level 5, which is the highest among the EVM compatible chains. So let's just take a deep dive into all of these things. So whenever we talk about a network architecture, there are some core layers that are involved in a network architecture of any blockchain. So these are like your network layer, consensus layer, execution layer, settlement layer, data availability and storage layer. And the one additional layer that we have added is an SPN. So we'll talk about SPN in detail while we cover everything. So talking about a network layer, it's as usual a P2P gossip protocol, which is designed for low latency messaging between our validator nodes and even across our SPN. And the consensus layer is a combination of BFT consensus and asynchronous mechanism. And why we have done it, we will discuss it in a detailed session after this. And it is designed to reduce the transaction ordering bias and improves validator efficiency. So you will understand like with parallelization, what we are trying to achieve. So when we come to the execution layer, we have a dual VM execution engine with the help of Dora EVM. So at Dora EVM, you can build with EVM or WASM. So it supports multiple programming languages, and it even supports the parallel transaction execution, optimistic execution, and smart access list inferring. So what do we mean by smart access list inferring? It means that before a transaction is being executed or a contract is being called, it basically preloads within the engine so that the time is saved and the multiple transactions that are happening that are waiting for execution in the engine, they can be processed parallelly. We are going to study about this in a next session. Then comes our settlement layer. So settlement layer is basically designed to improve the decentralization with our validator staking mechanism to have a shared security. And it also ensures fast settlement for transactions across all execution environments. Since we have multiple execution environments with the help of our SPNs, that's why the whole security is divided among each SPN so that there should be no biasness. Then we talk about our data availability and storage layer. And so at Pharos, we have developed our own storage layer, which we are calling it as Pharos Store. So it's a high performance multi-version blockchain storage model. And what it happens here is, let's suppose if there is a crash or if there is a network downtime happened at a blockchain level, so it can quickly restore itself in milliseconds just because of the version control. And it also has ADS pushdown and delta encoding, which minimizes the disk input output. Talking about SPNs, which is spatial processing networks. So these are like your layer 2, layer 3 infras that you can actually build on Pharos, and you can have your own customized execution layer, and you can even configure the consensus according to your preference. So SPNs operate semi-independently because they share the security and data with the Pharos main network, but you can build on top of it so that you get a fast execution environment and a better overall infra. So let's suppose if there are multiple RWA assets or protocols or even banks or any other TradFi player that wants to build on Pharos, they can easily do that with our SPN and build it according to their preferences. So now let's just take a deep dive into each and every layer of Pharos. So when it comes to networking, as we discussed earlier, we have an optimized P2P gossip protocol that helps in block propagation, transaction propagation, and consensus messages. And it implements an adaptive bandwidth allocation management based on network load. So what happens here is whenever there is a high performance demand within a particular area of blockchain, let's suppose there is a high frequency trading platform on Pharos and there is a trading competition going on there. So there is a lot of activity happening on one single protocol. So the whole network bandwidth will be allocated to that one single protocol. In this way, the network will have uh, no latency and no congestion, and all the users will have a very smooth overall experience. The network layer also helps in cross SPN communication, that which ensures low latency interoperability across various execution environments. Now comes the interesting part, the consensus. So most of the blockchains that you know right now are following a leader-based mechanism. So what happens in a leader-based mechanisms, if you see, like if you know about Polkadot, if you know about Solana, there is either an epoch model or a babe and grandpa model, which is taking place at a consensus level. So what happens is there is always in the consensus, there's appointed a leader basically that leads the whole validation process, and the leader is selected randomly. But what happens at Pharos, it's an asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance model. So what do we mean by asynchronous? So basically there is no leader here, and what gives us the power here is to do that It basically allows multiple validations to happen at the same time. So unlike classical BFT implementation, where we require to fix a leader on a round-based communication, at Pharos, we don't need to do that because multiple validators can propose, validate, and commit transactions concurrently in parallel. So what does this do? This is significantly reduces the bottleneck caused by leader election. It also implements dynamic transaction ordering mechanism, which ensures fairness and reduce block construction biasness. And it supports the global ordering even during high network churn. So as I mentioned earlier, whenever there is a high network churn or high demand or high pressure in the network, this can significantly improve everything because transactions are happening on a parallel level. I hope you get a better idea of our consensus. So when we talk about and summarize about the key features of our consensus, first of all is going to be asynchronous execution, dynamic transaction ordering, fast path execution, and leader rotation and voting optimization. Now comes the execution part, like how the transactions and contracts are being executed. So when we talk about execution, I mentioned that we have a Dora execution engine that offers a dual VM environment. So basically, it can be EVM and it can be WASM, and developers have the flexibility to build on their own programming language. So you can use Java, Rust, Python, or any familiar programming language that you want to use. And our IR, that is LLM based intermediate representation, what it does that it basically translates that code into WASM based bytecode and so that it can be processed on the execution engine. So it gives the flexibility among developers to build at whatever language they want. And if I would like to give you some use cases, like if you want to build a high performance DEX or high performance trading platform, so the all of the backend can be created on a Rust based platform or a Go based platform, and the contract execution part can happen in EVM or WASM. Similarly, if you are trying to build an AI model or if you're trying to build a high performance game, let's say we talk about Counter-Strike, GTA, or very other high performance games. So all of the backend can be coded in Rust or Go, depending upon our preference. And all this blockchain level execution can happen within our Dora EVM. And with this, Pharos introduces mass smart access list inferring. So basically what it does, it's a method to statically or dynamically infer which state entries a contract will access. So with this, the execution engine can group transactions which with disjoint state. So let's say there are multiple transactions, but are in different state of the blockchain. So in this, they can be clubbed together and can be processed parallelly without any fear of conflicts. And it preloads the contract state for faster execution. So as I told you about, we support high-speed execution with this and support multiple native languages like Rust and Go. Talking about the key features of our execution engine are going to be optimistic execution and transaction grouping, smart access list inferring, and Pharos WASM for multi-language smart contracts. Talking about our storage model, I would like to highlight that as I talked to you about, like it's going to be a version based storage model. So whatever you see in Ethereum or primitive blockchains, it's a Merkle Patricia based system. But here we have delta encoded multi-version Merkle tree. So what it does that it creates a various version logs into the system so that whenever there is a big crash or system downtime, the uptime is very fast because the storage can be reconnected or resynchronized on the basis of the last version of the storage. So it reduces the storage overhead by 80% compared to Ethereum's try model, and it makes it more fast in terms of input output. by almost 16 times, like 15 to 8x, but we can call it 16 times. So you can just imagine like how fast we have built this, fastly and efficiently we have built this storage in-house. Talking about the key features, we have delta encoded multi-version Merkle tree, DMM tree, log structured version page store. That means like we have various logs of the versions that are recently created, and light SPN asset transfer protocol. So what it does that across all the SPNs, it creates an asset transfer protocol so that all the assets can swiftly move between all the SPNs. Then comes our pipelining, which is a crucial part of managing all these layers. So when we talk about multi-stage parallel execution engine, which reduces the bottlenecks, and the pipelining overall improves the CPU optimization and disk input output by enhancing the network and Merkleization. So in this pipeline, everything is happening in a parallel way. So it enhances the overall performance of the architecture. So let's just see like what are the stages of these pipelines. So in a parallel, this the first stage is like parallel block staging. So multiple block pipelines are staged in parallel for execution, Merkleization, and state updates. Then there is a dynamic resource allocation. As I mentioned earlier, if a particular state or a block stage is requiring more resources, the whole resources are going to be directed towards that state of the blockchain. And then we have flexible finality mechanism, which implements ordering, transaction, and block finality at different layers. So at different layers, there is a flexible finality. There is not a strict timing that if some layer missed the finality, it's gonna have to wait again the whole cycle. So basically, if it's happening in parallel, it gives more flexibility for the finality. So with this, what we are able to do is we are able to achieve a 200K TPS with a 64 core pipeline execution framework. So let's suppose if we have a pipeline execution engine that is supporting 64 core CPU, we can achieve like 200K TPS, which is going to be more higher than the current offering blockchains. And it reduces the latency by 30 to 50% than standard blockchain pipelining models. And now when we talk about our SPNs, as I told you about, like it's an application specific execution environment. So you can build it according to your preference. And when we talk about their architecture, there is an SPN manager that manages the registry governance and overall life cycle of that SPN. There is an adapter that facilitates the cross-chain communication. And then there is a restaking and validator security model, which allows for validators to stake so that the stakes can be distributed across all the SPNs at the same time. And as you know, like there's a cross SPN interoperability through our networking layer, which enables fast and smooth messaging across all the SPNs. Then we have in support of interoperability and cross-chain communication. Since we have multiple VM environments and multiple SPNs, so we have an SPN to SPN as well as SPN to external blockchain communication layer that swiftly manages all the transaction processing and communication across all the networks. Similarly, the key features are going to be cross-chain message passing, cross-chain SPN data synchronization, multi-VM smart contract interaction. So these allow you to build a DeFi protocol, RWA protocol, AI models, and then you can execute them at a different level. So now I open the floor for all types of questions that you have in your mind. I know there are a lot of things that you have learned very new today. So I would like to ask you all to have your questions on the floor.
If you guys have questions, you can chat it on the chat box or you could open your mic. For starters, I have a few questions myself. So this is, I think, under community and support. How can developers or businesses get involved with Pharos community and like what kind of support or mentorship does Pharos offer to new adapters? Is there such thing?
Got it. So for new members, if you are like a community member, you can join our Discord. There are multiple activities happening on our Discord at the current level. Then we have a builder specific group both on Discord and Telegram. So you can directly join the builders group. And we have a builder base camp ongoing, which have a 300K prize pool. So all of those who are building in DeFi, RWA payments, infra, they can directly participate in that builder base camp. We would happy to support you guys while you are building, and you can receive your rewards and you can be eligible for grants moving forward. Talking about the support, we will be supporting your project from ground zero, and we have the partnership with HashKey Group, one of the leading Web3 venture capitalist firm. So all of the projects that will be receiving grants will be moving towards the HashKey incubation program. So basically, we are having our own incubator with HashKey Group, and all the projects will be able to nurture their ecosystem or project under HashKey Group and will be eligible to receive further funding opportunities. So from ground zero, we take them to one in terms of building their project in the Web3 space.
That's nice. That's a really great start for new devs. Um, uh, the next question is like for future innovations, I think. What are possible future advancements or features that are planned for Pharos network?
So as we discussed, we have a very customizable and modular infra. So we'll be doing more and more customizations and innovations at an internal level so that we can scale up the blockchain beyond 50K TPS. So we are not going to restrict ourselves till 50K. And if I tell you about like the what's the theoretical achievement with that we have on our TPS, it's 500K TPS. And when we see like the current demands of Visa and Mastercard, when they process like 300K to 400K transactions in a second, on a similar level, we would like to scale our infra so that we can match the levels of those, so that the Web2 users can easily be onboarded into Web3 without any friction.
My last question is, how do you envision Pharos shaping the blockchain ecosystem over the next few years?
Can you repeat? I lost your voice in between.
How do you envision Pharos shaping the blockchain ecosystem over the next few years?
Awesome. So basically, we'll be closely working with all of our ecosystem builders to build the future of RWA and payments and have projects onboarded so that we can have a lot of TradFi to be bridged to Web3. So that's the overall plan, growing the ecosystem and pushing the boundaries of blockchain so that it can be matched along with the traditional financial systems.
That's nice. I think I'm already satisfied. How about you guys? Do you have questions? If ever, ooh, from Christian Lee, for developers new to Pharos, what tools or resources are available to help them get started with building on this hyper-parallel network?
It's a really good question. So basically, as I told you about, you can directly join our Telegram group and Discord. There, I will be helping out and guiding you with a personal one-on-one mentorship to how you can build. We have our developer docs, and you can start building with that right away. So we'll be helping out you in figuring like what to build, what not to build. So if you have a previous experience on Solidity, it's going to be really helpful for you to build on Pharos. And someone has asked regarding our mainnet launch. So the launch is going to be planned around Q3. So that's where the we'll be hitting mainnet.
Are there any more questions? Right now, you support Solidity and WebAssembly, right? Any chance going to support Move?
Yeah, so we are rightly able to support Move or any kind of programming language, as I told you about that we have a multi VM architecture, so we can support any kind of programming language that you are willing to build on Pharos, even like your ZK EVM, if you want to build around ZK, and everything that you will be doing is going to be internally translated to a WASM bytecode so that your executions can happen on Pharos. Sure, if we have a great support from Philippines, like a great developer group, we can definitely plan out something in Philippines.
We are all excited for that. We are hoping for something up for the Philippines soon.
Sure, definitely.
From John Rick Rabara, what are the future events of Paris network architecture?
Yeah, so talking about the future events, definitely we have our builder base camp at the moment where we are having a price pool of 300K USD for developers to build. And then later we are going to have founders residency, builder base camp, and a lot to come.
From John Haynes, since Pharos blockchain is focused on developers and builders, are there also opportunities for non-technical roles such as business development, community management, or ecosystem growth? How can non-developers contribute to Pharos vision?
Got it. So basically, you can join our Discord. There we have our Discord managers with whom you can contribute into our ecosystem rightly.
Can we have the link of the Discord channel so we could join?
Sure, definitely.
Okay, there we go, guys. Janesh has dropped the Discord link at the chat box. So if you guys want to push through in getting to know more about Faras, getting involved in their communities, you can join. Is there any more questions for Janesh before we end the session? I think that's all for now, since there isn't any more questions. Before we end, can we have a quick photo off with you, Janesh?
Sure, definitely.
Guys, can you please open your cam for a quick photo off? I think, is it just my screen or we can't see you, Janesh?
Yeah, I think my camera is on.
Okay, there we go. Okay, one, two, three, smile. Again, one, two, three, smile. Okay, thank you, Janesh. And of course, as promised, for our before anything else, Janesh, in case some participants want to ask further more questions after this session, can we contact you through the Discord channel?
Yeah, definitely you can tag me in Discord. I am there, and there is a Discord channel with dev help. So if you have like anything regarding the development, so you can rightly tag me there, and I'll be there to answer you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the learnings today, Janesh. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
And of course, as promised to our participants, after the session, if you have a Celio account, you can have an NFT. So here is the QR code that you can scan in order to get the NFT. So I'll give you a few minutes to scan this. So while you are scanning the Celio QR code to get the NFT, just a little teaser for everyone. There will be a new platform for learning soon. It is called the Black Labs Academy, an initiative focused on blockchain education and innovation. It aims to empower individuals and organizations with knowledge about blockchain technology, offering training, certifications, and development opportunities. And of course, we would like to invite you guys to the upcoming The Block events, community events. So for today, we have accomplished two webinars so far. After this, there is another block time, which is interacting with Rise using VM at 9 p.m. And then furthermore, there are events on March 26 and March 29, interacting with Base using Next.js that WAGMI. And data leaks, phishing, and ransomware, you're next unless you do this on March 29. And of course, there is also an in real life event. So join us for an exclusive AMA session hosted by Hirayan Network and The Block. This is an in person event features Thomas, head of marketing for the Aptos Labs. So Aptos is a cutting-edge layer 1 blockchain redefines scalability, safety, and decentralization with its visionary approach. So this will happen on March 27th, Thursday, 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Location at Blockspace Makati, Metro Manila. So I think that is all for our block time. Thank you guys and see you later, like literally later at 9 p.m. I hope to see everyone which is in here right now again later at the 9 p.m. session. Okay, Janhin dropped the Aptus registration at the chat box. Please check it out. And we are hoping to see you guys there and also at the 9 p.m. session. So that is all. Thank you guys. See you later.